Hello and welcome to this week's angling blog. Today you join me on the banks of the River Severn and we're in search of barbel and chub. Yesterday the country had its first proper downpour of autumn. As you can see from the river behind me, she's up and she's carrying plenty of colour and pace. It's about 6 foot up, and as you can see on the graph now, is on the rise and is continuing to rise during the session. We've come down here to the banks of the River Severn and hopefully we can pick up a barbel and a chub. With the river behind me just flowing through nicely, I'd like to just take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody who left such nice comments on the last barbel video. You know, it was a very special session on the River Wye, you know, catching 3 PBs in one day, maybe not in order, but to get that £9 barbel and then to get that, you know, 10 and a half, £10, £11 barbel, yeah, proper made up. And just thank you to everybody that left such nice comments. It really does mean a lot on the channel when I read the comments every Monday and see the nice comments that you leave. You know, thank you everyone that takes the time to leave the comments and like the videos. So if you are new to the channel, my name's Danny, and every Friday at 6 o'clock I put a new video on the channel and have done for the past 3 years. There's plenty of content on the channel. If you check out the playlists and the videos, there's 3 years of weekly videos, from pike all the way through to roach on the bollo, on the whip, on the pole, carp, you know, tench. There's a bit of everything on the channel. From here on in, this might be the last barbel video on the channel for this year, but there'll certainly be more next year. I've absolutely loved it this year, chasing those barbel, and I'll put a link to the top of the screen now for a barbel playlist. You know, if you've come here and enjoy your barbel fishing. So let's take a look at the swim and how we're going to go about it. So as you can see behind, we've got the shelter up because it's forecast rain today, and as I said and you've seen in the opening video, the river is carrying probably an extra 6 foot of water maybe. It's well up and pushing through. It's due to continue to keep rising during the session, so how long we'll be fishing on here for remains to be seen. You know, rivers can come as high as the bank at times, can't they? And it is forecast to continue. You can see one of the rods there is just getting a few taps on it, so it's a good sign that there's 1 or 2 fish in the slack, and it's got a lovely colour to it. And to be honest with you, we've got 2 rods out, and as always the goal is just to get 1 fish each. You know, a fish each today, we'll both be happy. But that's the swim we're going to be fishing, and how we're going to be attacking it. If you look there, you can see the fast water down the middle coming in. We've got a tree upstream which has created this huge slack in the edge. For those new to river fishing, you can see how the water's moving there quite fast, but here it's barely moving, and that crease in the river there is where the barbel will sit, just picking off the food in between, and that's where we're going to target them barbel today. So let's have a look at the baits that we're going to be using, the tactics, and how we're going to feed the swim. So set up for the session, same as all the other videos, nice and simple. Got my Corum twin tip rod, 12 foot. I've got it with the quiver tip in the top. Got my Corum shadow reel with 12-pound line. Nice, simple, robust setup. So down to the business end, I've got a 75-gram Corum feeder. I've got a 3 running run ring in the XL size, like I say, always easy to change feeder, a bead to protect the knot, a quick change swivel, and then an anti-tangle sleeve to aid separation on the cast. As you can hear there, I think on the estate across the way, I think a pigeon has just met its maker. An anti-sleeve to aid separation on the cast so you don't get any tangling. To start off with, we've got quite a long hook link down to a size 6 Corum microbarbed hook and one of the dynamite big river pellets on. The same setup as all the other barbel videos that we've done. A rod that has served me so well. I think it cost me £60 off the internet, and as you've seen on the channel, I always let the tackle talk for itself. You can watch the playlist and see all the fish that we've caught on this rod. It's handled fish to double figures, barbel to double figures, you know, chub, and been great. So yeah, that's the simple setup that we're going to be using today. So as you can see on the screen now, we're using Cheshire Particle hemp to feed the swim, and just got a first take of the day as we're feeding the swim. You couldn't make that up and say that's come just literally on the feeder going in and just starting to feed that hemp. We had put a few pouches in at the start, and as you can see there, we're putting a bit more in, and the rod's just literally hooped over as I was recording this piece. An excellent start to the blog. And the problem we're going to have today is obviously the peg is normally down there somewhere where the fish is fighting, so I'm going to have to take it easy. And having just said we'll settle for one each, to get one this early is a really good result given how up the river it is, and it's the first barbel of the session in the net. So with that barbel just resting in the net before we blog it, it's going to continue to put the hemp out, and as you can see, just hoping to keep that hemp, feeding it out there so it comes down into the slack and down the crease. We want them barbel as close in as we can get them. You need to use less lead than to hold, and obviously you have more control about where you're feeding. As the river rises, the slack will obviously get smaller and closer to the bank, so how long we've got to fish, I don't know. Barbel resting in the net, an excellent start to the session. The rod has absolutely screamed off, and we're into the second barbel of the session, and this does feel a slightly better one. Again, he's behaving, he's come under my feet. I say the danger here is they go down the inside there, because obviously with the river being up, getting leverage on them down there is going to be really difficult. So you've got to try and just keep the barbel playing in front of you. We'll go over the setup that I'm using in a minute, but you know, well worth the journey down here already. There's another smallish barbel, probably just a bit bigger than the other one, but I'm sure the sun beating down will be short-lived with the rainstorms that are due later on today. But enjoy it while we can, because we'll be probably sat under the shelter later trying to keep dry. And with one barbel in the net, that's two. As you can see at the side there, we're prepared with two nets in case we get a scenario like this. So what we'll do is we'll put one barbel in each net to rest it, and then we'll take a look at them both in a minute. So as we were putting that hemp in, as you saw, the rod hooped over. A great start to the blog. A 4.5, 5.5 pound barbel to start, and well worth that journey down here. You know, with the conditions as they are, it's bang on for the few bites. How long it'll last, I don't know, because they have given it to get pretty bad later on. So make the most of it while we can, and that's an excellent start. Second fish of the brace, another hard fighting River Severn Barbel. Okay, great fun. Going to miss this barbel fishing in the next few months till, you know, probably the start of next season. More than likely this will be my last session on the bank for these fish, but yeah, what a great start. The second fish of a great start to a session. Let's get them both straight back. So when the river is in this type of condition, you know, safety is paramount. Always pick a swim, you know, with good safe banks to be fishing off. And when we arrive, we put a stick in the ground, you know, to keep an eye on the level and how fast it's rising. And believe it or not, we've had them two barbel. It's been probably 45 minutes of the session maybe, and already the river has rose by about 2 inches. that bank stick had no water at its base when we arrived. So as you can see, the river is on a quick rise. So starting off the session, we're going to plug the feeder with the 6mm Sonia Baits spicy sausage pellets. We've got a marine halibut ground bait to plug the feeder, and on the hook, that bait that we used on the River Wye so effectively. Dynamite baits, big fish, river pellets, and with the river up and coloured, again like on the River Wye, we want a bait that's going to stay on the hook and be durable and not get washed away or whittled down, and this bait was excellent for that on the River Wye. Change baits, we've got some 10mm spicy sausage pellets, some ellipse pellets, and also we've got big chunks of meat that we can also put out. So the rod's just gone again and stay into the first barbel of the session, and if he gets it in, there'll be 3 barbel in probably the first hour, and great to be getting action in the daytime. It bodes well for the session ahead.
So this is my first barbel of the session. It's the third one of the hour. Great start to the trip.
So like in life, a crowd attracts a crowd, and a good sign of where to fish in these conditions is when you see all the other fish just topping. As you can see here, if you just look long enough, the fish are just topping away. All the small stuff, they're out of the flow, and the other fish, the bigger fish, will be in there with them as well. In this slack here, it's absolutely alive with fish topping. As you can see there, plenty of them small fish topping away. That's a good sign of where to fish when the river is pulling through like this. I've just done the bit on, you know, the fish topping in the swim, the smaller fish, and, you know, being a giveaway for where the bigger fish will be. As I say, a crowd does always attract the crowd. The small fish are in here, and the big fish are also in there with them as well. And literally I'd finished talking and the rod bounced over. So the fish in this river at the moment are proper on that hemp in the swim, and the pellets and the ground bait. That smell attracting the fish in, and when it's this coloured, that's what you've got to do. You've got to, you know, get some smell in the water first of all, because these fish will be using that sense of smell with the colour of the water today. They're made for the job of swimming in fast water and also feeding on the bottom and smelling out baits. If you look at the front end of the fish, that's what it'll be using today to find the bait. So lots of smell and Cheshire particle hemp to keep them there when they arrive. It's the 4th fish of the session, and we've had 2 drop takes as well. So, you know, it's only going to be a short session today, but it's looking like it's going to be a good one. Let's get the fish straight. And again, no adventure would be complete on Danny's angling blog without Mr. Swan. Although he is struggling at the moment to stay in the swim, he must be paddling like mad underneath. I don't think he's got a chance today. So as always, rest the fish well. They'll let you know when they're ready to go back. And this one, more than ready. And off he goes. First signs of the severity of the rise of the river becoming apparent. You can see much more bigger debris coming down the river. And I say, when you're in the slacks, you do tend to avoid things like that, because that would wipe your rods out most definitely. So a great start. We've been getting lots of taps on the feeder, and at the start I talked about the setup and the quick change link, and as you can see there, it's just a case of unclipping that off the line, and I'm going to put on a shorter hook link. So it's a case of just clipping the new hook link on, and you push the anti-tangle sleeve up the line, and there we go. Within 2 seconds you're now fishing with a shorter hook link. So let's get that out there and see if it works. And the key as well is keeping them fish there and putting that hemp in, you know, to keep the fish in the swim. With this power of the river, the hemp is obviously going to get washed away quicker. Some of it will obviously stay in the slack because it's not as powerful, but you've got to keep putting that bait in. So every so often a good pouch of hemp and a handful of the pellets is going in, so it'll slowly hold in this area and go down the swim. And the idea is just to keep them fish grubbing about in the swim so they come over your bait. And on that shorter hook link, you've seen there the rod just hooped over, and then taps suddenly changed to a much more positive bite, and this fish just holding in the flow and just shows how you can just make a little small change and can affect the results. To begin with, obviously the bait was coming out the feeder, and I think there was a few barbel in the swim, but then taps on the feeder and it was just rattles. That shorter hook link, which you're seeing there, the rod just absolutely bolted round. So that didn't take too long, did it? You know, shorter hook link, and this barbel and a few of its, you know, brothers probably down there knocking the feeder. With that hook bait a bit closer, it wasn't too long till he come across that pellet. Incidentally, this is the first fish that I've caught on the Coram smokescreen mono, £10. So a good confidence boost for that, you know, first fish on that. And yeah, session's going well. See there, the barbel have continued to keep coming, but the river has just had a surge. I imagine when I look back at the footage, I'll see a big difference in when we arrived and I did this shot and now. It's like the river's just had that big surge of water through. Looking at the gauge, you can see it's well come up and it's creeping onto that, you know, level with that little banking that we're using to play the fish. But definitely the river's just had a big surge of water through. Hopefully the bites will continue, but looking at the screen here, you can just see it's just a different colour and definitely more pace. So with the river rising fast, as you see on the chart then, the rod has just absolutely rattled off, and we're coming to the end of the session and to the end of the barbel season for myself. There may only be one more maybe trip left chasing these fish if, you know, I find time to go for them. But as I've said, I've thoroughly enjoyed these last few months just chasing these fish on relatively short sessions but longer ones on the River Wye. And to anyone out there who's never fished for barbel, just go and do it. I didn't do it for many years, didn't fish for them, and along with the piking, once you've tried it, you think, why haven't I done this before? Because it is just great fun. Even the small ones are defiant, are bending the rod, and it's just great fun. The rod hoops over really dramatically, you know, you can't mistake the bites, and then under the rod tip they always give you this dogged. It rose quite a bit, right, but it hasn't stopped this lovely £8, 8-ounce barbel coming to the rod. What a lovely way to end the season for barbel. Probably, as I said, my last trip out for them, and we'll end it with this fine fish. An £8, 8-ounce barbel from the River Severn. I've thoroughly enjoyed this adventure and I can't wait for next year. The pike fishing is to come. I'm sure we'll enjoy it. Let's get this lovely fish back. All that remains is to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing, and we'll catch us all next week. Tight lines. So to you guys that have stayed to the very end, one final fish. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable session on the bank, as always, with great company, and I hope you've enjoyed these vlogs. To you guys who are into your barbel, I hope you've enjoyed the journey, and the barbel fishing on the channel, and there'll be more next year. And if you're new around here, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and drop the video a like. It really does help the channel out. Tight lines in your own fishing, and this time we really will catch it all next week. Tight lines.